Did you ever wonder why cities are full of uncomfortable benches? Well, turns out these benches are actually designed with discomfort in mind. Take a look at this bench. This bench has armrests to keep you from dozing off or from lying down. Here's another one. It's called the leaning bar, and it was designed to keep users from sitting for too long. Hello class, my name is Alan Mack, and today the 3 key points I'll be discussing with you are hostile architecture, its related problems, and what some better solutions might be. So first of all, why does it even exist? Around the globe, cities have begun to implement more and more hostile architecture. Hostile architecture is defined as an urban design strategy that purposefully restricts certain activities such as loitering, sleeping, or skateboarding. In essence, the idea behind it is that you can sit, but not get too comfortable. Proponents of this design say that urban design is completely necessary to help reduce crime, maintain order, and ensure safety. And in some cases, hostile architecture can be used for good. For example, it can prevent people from staying in certain dangerous places, or it can protect delicate benches from activities such as skateboarding. Take a look at these spikes. These spikes are being used on top of a building to prevent damage to stonework from bird droppings. Now, let's discuss some of this idea's related problems. In most cases, hostile architecture is used to keep the homeless people from sleeping in places where they're not welcome. Personally, I find public spaces not being open to public use kind of ironic. In Toronto, it's virtually a criminal offense to be poor. The city used to have a plethora of laws against panhandling and loitering. Eventually, the police stopped handing out tickets for fines that they knew the homeless people could never pay. Toronto, like many other cities in Canada, is currently facing a housing crisis. Single-family housing is beyond the reach of most people, especially the young. Rents are rising faster than wages. They are rapidly increasing and are soon going to be exorbitant. Young couples hoping to start a family continuously postpone doing so until they can find an affordable place to live. So, instead of sleeping on the streets, what about public shelters, you may ask? Well, there's a problem there too. Public shelters in Toronto are overcrowded and they're operating at above capacity, which is why you see people sleeping in places such as doorways or over steam grates, which, by the way, are also becoming inaccessible to the homeless. Over the past 3 years, public shelters have been at over 98% capacity on average. And this problem is only getting worse. Over the course of the pandemic, the unemployment rate in Canada rose from 5.9% to 9.6%. This is over a 60% increase, which is quite significant. Winter is here, and if recent history is any guide, it means that it'll unfortunately come with the deaths of several homeless men and women. Not only is hostile architecture unfriendly to the homeless, but it can also prevent the elderly or disabled from sitting. So all this being said, let's talk about some solutions. We can start by raising awareness and by starting a discussion. Hostile architecture puts some burden on certain communities, so it's really important that we have an open discussion to talk about finding the right balance of this design. We can start the discussion by talking to our family, our friends, our peers, or by going on social media and posting or tweeting about it. To help homeless people get off the streets and back on their feet, consider donating to organizations to help homeless people. For example, take the Salvation Army, which offers social services. Alternatively, you could donate to Out of the Cold, which offers shelter and hospitality. Or instead of all of this, you could always donate your time, since a lot of these organizations are run almost solely by volunteers. For example, looking back at Out of the Cold, you could volunteer at one of their soup kitchens. At these places, homeless people can have a warm, nutritious meal, and they can spend some time with people who genuinely care about them and make them feel good. Finally, you could participate in lobbying for increased funding for this cause. Instead of pouring funding into hostile architecture, perhaps the government should redirect some of these funds towards other causes. For example, developing more shelters or developing more programs to help fight unemployment are always good ideas. In conclusion, hostile architecture does more harm than good, and we should consider some other alternatives that may be more impactful and helpful to our local communities. The issue of homelessness affects us all. Let's take action, put in the work, and do what we can to fight this problem.